Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smile. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot 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 besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot liot besimcha. Siva gedola, liot besimcha. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmati bechemla raba emunatecha.
Torah ציווה לנו משה, השם יתברך, תמיד אוהב אותי ותמיד יהיה לי רק טוב. והשם יתברך, תמיד אוהב אותי ותמיד יהיה לי רק טוב. ויהיה לי עוד יותר טוב, ועוד 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 יותר טוב, ותמיד יהיה לי רק טוב, רק טוב.
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Ellie. It is Monday, the 19th day of May, the 21st day of Iyar. The Torah portion is a double portion, Behar-Bechukosai, HaYom Yom Sheini Shabbos, second day counting up toward Shabbos, counted 36th day of the Omer in this episode, season 7, episode 188. There, we figured it out. We counted it. And that was it. That was where we were at. Crazy stuff, huh? Crazy stuff. But we did it, and there we are. And we are approaching. Wait, what's going on over here? Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. All right, I'll figure it out. I gotta figure out what's going on here because I think I just messed something up in my counting system. All right, that's fine. It doesn't have to be there as long as it's here and here. Okay. All right. I hope your weekend was amazing. And we are now in the second day of our week. Oh, Shalom Lebanese Zionists. There you go. There's a name for you. All right. Men and boys, take your two front sitzes. Let's make a bracha. Everyone else, join us in the second bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yatzar et ha'adam b'chokhma uvaravo nekavim chalulim galui v'yadua lifnei chisei Chevodecha she'im yisatem echad mehem o im yipateach echad mehem I efshar lehitkayem afilu sha'a echat Baruch atah Adonai rofe chol basar umafli la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah. Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Morasha kehilas Yaakov, Torah tziva lanu Moshe.
Pushki, it's a DACA box. I put it in the pushki, it's a DACA box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki that's a darker box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
All right. Episode 188, huh? Wow. That's pretty cool. All right. Right hand over your eyes. Let's say the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai כעת אדליק את הנר לכבוד התנא האלוהי רבי ישמעאל בן אלישע כהן גדול
ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
49 days to count the Omer.
All right.
After it's dark, Mark.
Simple enough,
At
right?
the end of my read, Steve.
All right, time to
Do
count
it in
the
shul,
Omer.
shmuel. Just count with me.
That's it, episode.
Look for the stars, Tamar. Just be sure to make the bracha.
אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצרי סוף וציוונו על ספיר הסוהים.
Sparkem lochem mi mocharas Shabbos mi mocharas Shabbos mi yoim aviachem Sparkem lochem mi mocharas Shabbos mi yoim aviachem es Omer atnufo
And with that little bit of davening, we've earned breakfast. Coffee and yogurt, making a bracha shahakol. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyah bidvarai.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way. Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Yeah. And of course, that was Laser Brooks' brother, And I think today was his birthday. All right, today in Jewish history. Wow. All right. Day 39, Chesed Shebe Yisod. Karl Hermann Frank, the German Nazi, who was a German Nazi official in Czechoslovakia during World War II, was hanged on this day in 1946. He surrendered to the American authorities on May 9th, 1945. Was extradited and tried in a court in Prague. Following conviction of war crimes, Frank was sentenced to death and hanged in the courtyard of the Pankrak prison in Prague, as 5,000 onlookers witnessed his death. And a big day in Chabad, the city, Kfar Chabad, the Chabad village, was established in 1949. Founded by the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson. Good morning, Mike. Kfar Chabad was founded on the 21st day of Iyar in 1949. Guten Tag, mein Freund. The first settlers were most recently immigrants from the Soviet Union, survivors of the terrors of World War II and Stalinist oppression. Kfar Chabad, which is located about 5 miles south of Tel Aviv, includes agricultural lands as well as numerous educational institutions, and serves as the headquarters of Chabad Lubavitch in the Holy Land. All right. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And that makes us moving on to the holiday of Shavuos.
You're the son of kings, you're the child of Yosef's dreams, and you were born to royalty and honor. You're the daughter of queens, you're Queen Esther's legacy, and you were born of dignity and valor. And they can never take your crown.
And that takes us to HaYom.
ותמחול את כל עוונותינו ביום הזה.
All right, let's do it.
HaYom Yom, thoughts of the day, 21st of Iyar. Hashgacha Pratis. You people think everything is Hashgacha Pratis. Well, isn't it? Not just when I missed the train but met an old friend. Literally every step is coordinated as an opportunity for me to make the godliness latent there shine forth. I mean, how hard are we going to make Hashem work until we get the point that He has orchestrated everything for this moment so I can access the godliness hiding under the rock and make the world a better place, advance God's plan, find that godliness, and then move on to the next task Hashem has waiting for you. Level 4 is just around the corner.
Every day of the counting.
Low-carb cinnamon toast cereal.
The world to come is a great place to be, which is filled with wonderful rewards. And we'd all like to get to the world to come, but we're not in a rush to get there. At the moment, we're very happy living in this world because Judaism, Yiddishkeit, is about life, physical life. And today's HaYom Yom reminds us that life in this physical world affords us opportunities that are not available even in the world to come. Every person must know that as he or she goes through life, we are given an opportunity. You see, there's a master plan. And in our lives, we have the opportunity to transform this world into the type of place that Hashem first envisioned. We do this by performing mitzvahs and strengthening Jewish observance. So the opportunity, tremendous potential is there. Whether we choose to act on that opportunity is entirely up to us.
And thus it remains forever and ever. The famous Hasidic saying, Ich will nicht dein Gan Eden, ich will nicht dein Olam Haba, ich will nur dir und dir allein. I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your world to come. What I want is you and you alone. I think that's an amazing statement. All right, time for a word from our sponsor. And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidall.com.
PestProRidall.com. Trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services.
All right, we are back.
And get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidall.com.
There's no time, sir!
Tarzan Group. Micro, miniature, and
People
small
pleaser.
orchids. Go to TarzanGroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565. And order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at TarzanGroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign at gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Helping lots of people any way we can. Tzedakah is the Jewish way to help your fellow man.
And you can help your fellow man, woman, child, and anyone else who cares to learn Torah. People are starving to learn Torah and to do more mitzvahs, as we see. Just the numbers are mind-boggling. So what you can do to help is scan this QR code, which will take you to breakfastwithelli.live/support, where you can help support this channel by helping us defray the costs of our expenses and continue bringing Torah to the world. Season 7, episode 188. Mind-boggling. Okay? I don't even know. I can't even tell you. All right, let's learn some Torah. Thank you so much for those of you who have contributed and will contribute. All right, Behar-Bechukosai. We're doing a double portion this week. Behar means at the mountain, referring to Mount Sinai, the site of the giving of the Torah. The first verse in our parsha reads, Vaydaber Hashem El Moshe Behar Sinai Lemor. God spoke to Moshe at Har Sinai, saying, now, as we all know, the bulk of the books of Shmos, Vayikra, and Bamidbar were given at Mount Sinai. So why is this fact suddenly emphasized? There's evidently something about the content of this parsha that is more intrinsically bound up with Mount Sinai than the rest of Torah. But what is it? As a matter of fact, the opening context seems almost antithetical to the people's exalted spiritual state at Sinai. Most of us recall that Mount Sinai was the scene of what was arguably the most intense divine revelation ever experienced by any nation or individual in history or since, when Torah was given at Mount Sinai. Here as well, the bulk of the Torah's laws were explained in detail, as Hashem communicated with Moshe over a period of almost a full year. At the foot of the mountain, people think that Moshe went up to the mountain and boom, tick, black, all of a sudden he's got the whole Torah in his head. That's not how it worked. At the foot of the mountain, the Mishkan was first set up, in which God Hashem also revealed his presence to his people in the heavenly fire that consumed the daily sacrifices on an ongoing basis. In short, it was at this exalted mountain that our people attained the most sublime spiritual heights, thereby being freed from the confines of mundane existence and human experience. In contrast, the commandments and human concerns that open Parshas Behar are quite mundane. The injunction to refrain from working the land in the seventh year, which is grappling with every practical material matter. The Torah itself seems to acknowledge this as it addresses the skeptical question, if you should wonder what will we eat in the seventh year. From there till the end of the Parsha, the subject matter gets progressively further from the spiritual heights we associate with Sinai. We are told that we should not refrain from agricultural pursuits during should we not refrain from agricultural pursuits during the seventh year, we will eventually be forced to sell our assets, our inheritance, our homes, borrow on interest. And if we don't stop this downward spiral of spiritual descent, we'll ultimately have to sell ourselves as slaves to our fellows, then to a Gentile, and then as attendants in the service of idolatry. The depth to which a human being can sink in defiance of Hashem's law stands in sharp contrast to the sublime images evoked by Sinai. Oh, okay, that's perfect. The answer to this conundrum is, of course, that the contrast is intentional. The striking reference to Mount Sinai that constitutes the beginning and name of the Parsha, Behar, is meant to inspire us and instruct us how to overcome the darkness of a world that encourages and promotes the skeptical notions and degenerate materialism detailed in the rest of our Parsha. On our own, we are indeed incapable of elevating our environment, since we're stuck within it, functioning as a part of it. Nature follows the immutable laws of cause and effect, biological, physical, sociological determination, and every aspect of our lives is subject to these laws. As such, we're prisoners within nature, and the sage's words, a prisoner cannot free himself from his own imprisonment. Only a force from without can release someone who is locked within. It is the Torah, our link to Hashem's transcendent infinite will, that endows us with the ability to overcome the limitations of nature and the natural mentalities of our environment. The spiritual bond that we forge with Hashem through studying Torah and observing its mitzvahs affords us the strength necessary to break out of the downward spiral of spiritual degeneration. So, this is why Parshas Behar opens with an allusion to the giving of the Torah at Sinai. Yet, it's not enough to possess this inner strength. We have to be able to channel it into our lives in order to make use of it. In order to channel divine strength, we have to be selfless, transparent, and devoid of any desire for self-aggrandizement. This ability, too, we draw from the fact that Hashem gave the Torah on Sinai, the smallest of all mountains. And we'll finish off this overview to Behar tomorrow and start on the overview to Bechukosai. All right, yes. Wendy's father came home on Friday. He's tired, to be expected. All right. Well, that's excellent, Wendy. Wendy, please give him our best. Was it Reuven ben Miriam? I think was the name. Yes. All right. In the second Aliyah, this section addresses an obvious concern. What will we eat in the 7th year if we don't gather our grain? Well, Hashem reassures us that he will bless the 6th year's harvest and it'll produce enough to provide for 3 years. All right. Including the year of Yovel, of Shemitah, and the year afterwards. Torah then gives the rationale for the prohibition against selling land for perpetuity. Instead, land can only be leased until Yovel, the Jubilee year. Why? Because the land belongs to me. You are strangers and residents with me, the Torah tells us. The seller of the land, or his relative on his behalf, has the option of redeeming the land from the purchaser, provided that 2 years have passed from the date of purchase. All right, let us now go to Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtson, who will explain.
Jewish audio on Chabad.org.
If you observe the Shemitah, the sabbatical year, properly, the land will yield its produce, and you will eat full, for the food will be miraculously filling, and you will live upon the land securely without fear of drought. If, now that you have heard these assurances of abundance and satiety, you should wonder, Man nochal b'shana shvi'it, what indeed will we eat in the 7th year? We cannot sow, harvest, cannot even gather our produce that grows by itself into our homes, because it must be declared ownerless. Know then that I, Hashem, will command my blessings for you in the 6th year, and it will yield enough produce for the better part of 3 years. The second half of the 6th year, after the harvest that began in Nisan, after Pesach, the entire 7th year, and until the next 6 months, until the spring of the following year, when you can harvest what you sowed in autumn that year. Remember, we're talking Northern Hemisphere. For you will sow in Cheshvan, which is right after Sukkot, the beginning of autumn of the 8th year, while still eating from the old 6-year crops. You will then harvest the 8-year crop 6 months later, but nonetheless you will still eat mostly from the old crop, while the 8th crop remains in the fields and granaries to dry as usual until Rosh Hashanah of the 9th year, which is the time of the arrival of the crop from the fields and granaries into your homes. Moreover, once every 50 years, when the 49th year, which is a sabbatical year, is followed by Jubilee, I will make the 6th year yield enough produce for 4 years. As stated, in the Jubilee year, you must return all land you may have purchased during the previous 49 years to its original owners. This injunction is also subject to a passive commandment. The land must not be sold in such a way as to sever it permanently from its original owner. Do not feel as though you have been dealt with unjustly by having to return the land that you paid for the land belongs to me. You should never consider yourself the land's owners, for in reality, you're all transient sojourners and temporary residents dwelling with me in my land. For the same reason, throughout the land of your possession, you must also allow the land its redemption before the beginning of the Jubilee year, according to the following rules which follow in the coming Aliyah. Should only be sold land in general on account of destitution. Even under such circumstances, one should never sell all of their land. Remember, this is the land that the Jewish people received as part of their tribe when they arrived in the Holy Land. Each tribe received a section of Israel, and then each family received a property on that land. So this land was designed for you. It was mentioned that it's forbidden to deal commercially with produce of the sabbatical or Jubilee years, and that if a person transgresses this prohibition, he will suffer financial loss and eventually be forced to sell some of his personal property to pay for his sustenance. If he nonetheless continues to deal commercially with produce of the sabbatical and Jubilee year, he will incur even greater loss and be forced to sell his landed property. And hence now Hashem reviews some of the laws of selling landed property. If your brother Israelite becomes destitute and sells some of his inherited land, this land may later be redeemed, meaning repurchased. His redeemer, who is related to him, may, 2 years after the sale, come forth and redeem that which his relative had sold. The purchaser may not refuse to sell back the land. Basically, we do everything we can to keep the land in the family. If a man does not have a relative who has the means to act as a redeemer of the land, but he obtains sufficient means on his own to afford its redemption, he must calculate the years for which the land has been sold, the number of the years from the sale until the Jubilee year, and return the difference between the sale price and the prorated value of the years remaining until the Jubilee year to the man to whom he sold it, and then he may return to his inheritance. If he cannot afford enough to repay the purchaser for the full prorated amount, he may not redeem his land piecemeal. His land sale must remain in the possession of the one who purchased it until the beginning of the Jubilee year. It must go out of the purchaser's possession in the Jubilee year and revert to the original owner's inheritance.
All right. right, a double portion, so we have a double Rabbi Epstein today.
Parsha points Behar for Monday. A man meets his recently retired friend and asks how his newfound work-free life is going. It's getting easier. Really? What could be easier than having nothing to do all day? Not so easy, all this taking it easy. We are wired for production. We displace that through employment. Can we find a more godly way to direct that energy? Shemitah is about more than what we don't do. It's about where we direct ourselves with no clock to punch. Then we discover that we are worth more than our net worth. Parsha points Bechukosai for Monday. What's the best we could hope to make of a bad situation? Peaceful coexistence, mutual tolerance, or can we aspire to truly change conflict into harmony? The promise of the resting of the wild beasts can be the elimination of the lions or the domestication of the herd. Let's not make peace with our enemies. Let's make them our friends.
Sheini starts off v'nosna ha'aretz periya v'chaltem asovi v'shavtem l'vetach halel. If I'm going to keep Shemitah, you might ask, what am I going to eat on the 7th year? So Hashem says, I'm going to command my bracha on the 6th year, and it's going to make produce for 3 years. So you don't have to worry. The Sfarim say there's a sefer from the son of the Shlah called Shafat Tal. So he says that the Shem Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei is broken into two. There are two different hanhagas. The Yud and the Hey is a remez to L'malam min HaTeva, to Nisim. And the Vav and the Hey is a remez to the way Hashem runs the world b'derech HaTeva. And he says that the Yud and the Hey is a remez in the letters Mem Hey, 45. Why? Because in the Aleph Beis there are 3 ways of getting to 15, which is Yud and Hey. You could do Tes and Vav and Ches and Zayin. Those are the 3 ways that will get you to 15. And that's Gematria 45. 3 times 15 is 45. There are 5 ways of getting to the Vav Hey, to getting to 11. Vav Hey, Zayin Daled, Ches Gimel, Tes Beis, and Yud and Aleph. Those 5 things get you to 11. So 11 times 5 is 55. So that's Hain. So you have Haim and Hain. And in Nishmas on Shabbos we say Hain Haim Yoidu Vivarchu. We're thanking Hashem for the Nisim Niglin, for the L'malam min HaTeva Nisim, and for the Nisim that are every day b'derech HaTeva. Hain Haim Yoidu. Yoidu is also Gematria 26. The Shem Hashem. That's Merumas in the Hain and the Haim. Yoidu Vishabchu. So if you see, it fits in very, very beautiful. I saw in a sefer of what's going on over here. You might ask, Ma is 45. Ma noichal bashon hashvias. How could we eat Ma? We said is the Yud and the Hey. It's Nisim. How could we eat Nisim? The Gemara in Taina says we're not supposed to have Hanoah from Isa Nisim. You're supposed to go according to Piteva. Hein loy nizra v'loy nesef. Hein loy nizra. According to the Teva, loy nizra. We didn't plant the fields. So how are we going to eat? So Hashem answers that because of the mitzvah and the amunah and the bitachon that you're having in Eva, also says that it's going to make 3 years worth of crop. So to add, I saw in a sefer from the Jik of Adayin called Oil Torah. He says va'osas as hatvua is Tov Shenayin Vav. That's 776, which is Gematria the pasuk Bitchu b'Hashem adayad ki v'ko Hashem tzorei lomim. That whole pasuk is Gematria 776, and it can add that it's hinted in there ki b'ko Hashem tzorei lomim. You're opening up the tzinoris of the shefa and the pipelines that you could be zeichet to have hana even from the shem ka, which is l'malam min HaTeva. So the psukim continue that we said by Risha in the halachas of a batei ir chayma over there. That's one thing that if you have a walled city from the times of Yeshua ben Nun and you sell it to someone else, you have a year to try to buy it back. If you don't buy it back within a year, that stays by him, and it does not come back by Yovel. It's like the exact opposite of a regular sale, like we mentioned in Rishon, and that takes us to Shlishi.
So where do I get an interest-free loan?
Yeah, you want to run that by me again?
Yes, I asked where
Yeah, I heard you the first time, funny guy. Where do you get an interest-free loan?
Like in the Bible, you know.
Absolutely. Leviticus 25. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury. I get it. But listen, buddy, you're in the wrong hood. Maybe you gotta go ask this question in a more biblical neighborhood or something. You know what I mean?
I think I know what you mean.
I mean, I can get my boss Charlie to give you a very reasonable rate on a loan. Very, very reasonable. But we'd have to be all clear up front. You know what I'm saying?
I think I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying.
I think I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying. I'm saying that the terms of the loan and of the monetary restitution would have to be very, very clear.
Gotcha. But I'm actually asking the question in a more theoretical vein.
Theoretical? You want a theoretical loan?
Yes, interest-free, theoretically speaking.
All right, I get it, funny guy. All right, I like your sense of humor. No, really, I like it. All right, I ain't presently occupied. Let's shoot the breeze about theoretical interest-free loans.
Thanks, Chad.
You'll owe me an interest-free beer afterwards.
So Leviticus 25:36 specifies that when a Jewish brother lends money to another brother from another mother and father, he can't...
Which is a very serious mitzvah.
Exactly, which is a heavyweight mitzvah, that he may not charge his brother interest, meaning that he may not treat a loan as if it were a type of investment.
Not an investment, huh? I'd love to see you explain this one to Charlie. Not an investment? That doesn't make no sense. A guy's got a stash of cash. Let's call him Charlie. And you go to him and you say, "Hey, Charlie, can you bum me $1,000 for a couple of weeks?" And he says, you know what he says? "All right, Rabbi, what's in it for me?"
Because Charlie is an investor.
That's right, Charlie's an investor, all right. It's his money. If he's going to hand over his money to you, there better be a profit. It's basic economics.
It's definitely basic economics when it comes to investment. Whenever you invest in a business venture, the money, strictly speaking, still belongs to you. It's your money that's working for you, as it were, so you have a certain right to the profits.
Which is exactly what a loan is.
No, not exactly. Not at all, actually, no. In a loan, the lender, Charlie, transfers ownership of the principal to me, the borrower, so that the money belongs to me, even though I am obliged to repay it at a later date.
Obliged, yeah. I think Charlie might have another word for that.
Taking interest on a loan means profiting from somebody else's effort without personally actively participating in that effort. So it's not an investment. Investment means self-investment. But here the lender, Charlie, is essentially out of the picture, if only temporarily.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Charlie's going to appreciate all this theory. So what's your point? Because Charlie, interest-free loans, forget about it.
I assumed as much. The point of this theoretical question, at least for now, is to understand how this economic situation is reflected in our relationship with God.
You mean because the big boss up there, he gives us life and all the good things like an interest-free loan?
Sort of, but more cause and effect. The human relationship is mirrored, in a sense, in the human-divine relationship. When a Jew exacts interest on a loan to another Jew, when he makes a profit simply because the money lent was originally his, then God follows suit. God certainly provides the sinful, profiteering moneylender with the resources to keep the holy commandments, the mitzvot, but there's no real investment from above. In fact, God merely collects the merits accrued in the mitzvot.
Like a loan shark.
Or a bank.
I don't get it. I mean, how does the big boss up there ever invest in mitzvot? I mean, God does mitzvot?
Metaphorically speaking, yep, yes, that's right. You know, it says in the Medrash, for example, that when a person studies Torah, the Holy One, blessed be He, studies across from him, as it were.
Wait, so let me get this straight. So the big boss up there, he's like participating in your mitzvah. Like he's self-invested in your actions?
That's nicely put, actually. God is invested in your actions and, as it were, shares in your profits, metaphorically speaking. So long as you yourself know what constitutes an actual investment and you don't treat a loan like an investment.
So when you was asking me, where do I find an interest-free loan, you was really asking, how do I find someone to invest in my actions, like a silent partner?
God is a full silent partner in the mitzvah. Well put.
Well, I'm pretty sure it ain't a proposition to take to Charlie.
No, I was thinking of taking it somewhere higher.
You mean like, I get it, like venture capital from the big boss up there.
Like a merger and acquisition.
Bittel and Vekas.
You know, you're a pretty sharp guy. Maybe it's time for a new boss.
Very, very good. Very talented. And what a way to bring Torah to the world with such grace. All right. Let us now go to Reb Zusha, but I'm going to have to pop it in. So be patient with me. All right. Here we go.
So, my friends, are you ready to climb the mountains with me? Or the mountain? Today is a legal holiday. Remembrance Day, Victoria Day. We remember the veterans who gave their lives so that we should be able to live in a better world. Queen Victoria, Confederation. So we remember the past.
He's living
and
in
that's
Montreal.
a very important thing. But I want to share with you what the Torah says we need to remember. Not to minimize this, but what are the Jewish memory. But before we do this, let's remember to say thank you to Hashem for all the miracles that He did, that He does, and the miracle that He will do. Hopefully right now, the bringing of the ultimate redemption with Mashiach. So let's say Mizmor L'Soida, chapter 100. Mizmor L'Soida, Rida Adonai Kol Ha'aratim Des Adonai B'Simcha. Boi Lefanav B'Ernona, D'Uki Adonai Elim, Hu Asana V'Lanach Nama V'Tzon Marisai. Boi Yishor B'Soida Chatzroise B'Sila Hoide Levacha Shemoy. Ki Toiv Adonai L'Olam Chazdoi V'Yadoi V'Doi V'Emunah. So never forget to give charity. So let's do this right now together. And what do we need to remember? There are many opinions about which of the are the biblical concepts that we need to remember, but I will just stick to the Chabad custom where the Alter Rebbe, the Baal HaTanya, has established in his Siddur that after Shacharit, every day, including Shabbat and Yom Tov, every day, that is, to mention 6 remembrances. The first one is the Exodus of Egypt, and we say, "Leman tizkor es yom tzeitzcha me'eretz Mitzrayim kol yemei chayecha." You must remember the day you came out of Egypt, your entire life, every day of your life. You have to remember, we are on a journey, the journey of coming out of Egypt. Until we haven't reached the final redemption, we have to remember, we have to do something, we have to live, we have to see to it that we should come out finally completely from our exile. Exile is not just the past exile, but the present exile. Our inner exile are the things that we have to remember. And we have to remember what's the purpose of coming out of Egypt. Remember the standing on Mount Sinai. Be aware and guard yourself. Maybe you're going to forget those issues, those words, those things that you saw with your own eyes, and it will be removed from your heart every day. You have to share it with your children. The day that you stood in front of God at the Mount of Horeb, when we received the Torah. The journey coming out of Egypt, the purpose is to receive the Torah. And then we have to remember Amalek, the attack of Amalek. What was Amalek? Amalek was the nation that after the Jews came out of Egypt, the entire world was frightened, in awe of the exodus of the Jewish people and of the power and of the safety and security that God is granting the Jewish people. Amalek came and he said, I'm going to battle them, I'm going to fight them, knowing very well he's going to lose. But all he wanted was to take away that powerful hold, if you want, impression that the world had with the Jewish people. He cooled it down. Amalek is the one who brings in doubt. Amalek is the one who cools off passion about Torah mitzvahs. So we've got to remember, you're coming out of Egypt. You remember you're coming in Torah, but remember there's always a little but. There's always someone who can throw in a little doubt. Erase that doubt, because as long as you have doubts, you cannot move forward. Then the fifth one is, Zechoir al tishkach eis asher iktzavta es Hashem Elokecha b'midbar. Do not forget, remember, how you provoked God in the desert. There we're talking about the sin of the golden calf. Now you can ask the question, who is worshipping a golden calf today? Why is that so important? My friends, we do. But instead of gold, we have a gold card. Or the stock market. Our money, our investment. That's the golden calf. Remember not to worship it. We need it. God is granting it us to be able to do what we're supposed to do, but do not worship it. Even on the American dollar it says, in God we trust. The founding fathers were believers, and they put it right on the dollar. Finally, two more. I said that was the fifth. I'm sorry, that was the fourth. Remember what God did to Miriam when she came out of Egypt. She spoke. She criticized Moses. She criticized Moshe Rabbeinu. Never criticize your leader, and never speak evil about anybody else. Finally, remember the holiday of Shabbat. When we're talking about the holiday of Shabbat, we're not referring only to the weekday Shabbat, but the beginning of the journey coming out of Egypt. The final time with Mashiach is called Shabbat. These are the things that the Jew remembers every moment, every.
You got it. Every moment of every day. All right, a little Pirkei Avos to round out the day. We're doing chapter 5. This is the second Mishnah today.
We're on our Perek Hey, Mishnah Bet, second Mishnah in the 5th chapter, Masechet Avot. Says the Mishnah, Asara Dor, we're counting the tens. So the Mishnah says, Asara Dorot me'Adam va'Noach. There were 10 generations from Adam Arishon, from Adam until Noach. I mean, it was a long time, and the Torah describes how each generation was sinful, how they did wicked in the eyes of God. To tell us how compassionate lefanav, how erech apayim lefanav before God, how much of his compassion before God. Because all of these generations were increasing, would be anger God. Ubaim would increase in anger. Until God brought upon them finally the waters of the flood. Meaning that God waited and waited and waited until he could no longer bear it or whatever, until the dam broke, as it were, and then the flood came and destroyed mankind. Similarly, there were 10 generations from Noach until Abraham, and again, those generations weren't so great. Even after Noach came out, then they started killing each other, and then violence and bloodshed, etc. Again, to show you exactly the same language, to show how much compassion there is before God. Same language. All generations were increasing anger. Until Abraham Avinu came and received reward for all of them. I.e., Asa Ma'asim Tovim, he did positive behaviors, corresponding what it was what they all should do. Because therefore all of them were saved in his merit. Now, that's very interesting. In the Midrash, there's a lot of comparisons between Noach and Abraham. That both of them were tzaddikim. Abraham was a tzaddik, and Noach was a tzaddik b'dorotav. Noach was righteous in his generation. Abraham was righteous compared to any generation. So here too, we see that Noach was able only to save himself. Exact same language. Okay, that all the generations increased God's anger, and Noah could only save himself and his family. He couldn't save all the whole world. He could continue mankind, but not save them all. Whereas Abraham was able, through his merit, right? His behavior was he could receive reward for everyone. He also, his presence and what he brought to the world saved the entire world, saved all of mankind. Now it's interesting. I want to show you the Bartenura. The Bartenura says this question of that God has a lot of compassion. He says, Af ata, you too. Don't wonder that God is compassionate all these long years that they are subjugating God's children. Because God has more compassion for longer years than from Adam to Noach. And then they were washed away. Meaning, so he said, it's the Mefarshim, okay, not just the Bartenura. Also, I saw in the name of Rabbeinu Yonah the same idea that this Mishnah is sort of an archetype, an example that the Jews are wondering, they've been subjugated. Why are we subjugated for so long? God has a long time of compassion, but in the end, that we believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will pay back our subjugators, those who cause so much pain and suffering to the Jewish people. We'll stop here and dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.
And that takes us to the saying of Tehillim.
Al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Al Yedei Amiras Tehillim, Tisoyrecha Batzeles HaShoroin.
All right, we're saying chapters 23 and 123 today. Super, super important that you say Tehillim as often as you possibly can, because it helps. It really does. Here we go.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי, לא אחסר, בינוס תשע, ירביצני, על מי מנוחוס ינהלני, נפשי שובב, ינחני ומעגלי צדק, למען שמו, גם כי לך בגץ על מובס, לא ירא, כי אתה עמדי, שבתך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, תשענת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
Thoughts for the 21st of Iyar. The Tanya gets real honest here and acknowledges that this next level of love we're going to discuss can't be described in writing. It's a whole new degree. More than longing to connect, it's a level so intense, I no longer want to join my beloved. I no longer want to align myself with my beloved. I want to lose myself in my beloved. As the Tanya writes, think about it and you'll get it. This is so intense, it can't be captured in mere words. Surrender to it, and it will be. And we will lose ourselves in the infinity of Hashem, which is where our neshama truly wishes to be.
Thank you for joining Tanya in 5. Today's lesson for the 21st of Iyar. We begin chapter 50. Chapter 50 in one word is klois, which means expiry of the soul. Till now we've been speaking about a love that is a reflection of the right side. The right side coming from chokhmah, wisdom, expression of chesed, of kindness, of love, which is the priestly form of love. The kohen is isha chesed, is a kind of person, and this is the kind of love that brings a longing for holy things. Kesef, it is like silver. That silver in Hebrew is kesef. Kesef means, becomes words kesef, to long for holy things. However, there is yet another distinctive love that excels that of silver, and what excels silver is, of course, gold. Gold is superior to silver not only in its value, but also in its glitter. The glitter that it has, it makes it something more attractive. And this is love like fiery coals that come from not the right side, but from the left side, supernal gvurais. Gvurais meaning strength and refrain, that comes from Bina Ilah, from the supernal understanding. This comes through contemplation on the greatness of God. Here the greatness of God is how God is truly before him. There's nothing else but him. Not the way God is within the world. That will bring you to want to embrace God in love.
UV printing sounds awesome
the right
until
side.
you see the price tag. But what if I told you that
above and beyond, that it kindles the soul, that it flames up in a splendor that it wants to be attached to God, to such a way that it's striving to be part, to like the flame of a candle wants to part from the wick. Likewise here the soul wants to part from existence. It wants to be enveloped in the divine, and the divine element of fire above, because there's a divine element of fire in the soul, and that creates a thirst in the individual. In his soul has a thirst for God, as the verse says, my soul thirsts for you, and from that thirst it develops a love sickness for God, where ultimately it reaches, the soul has a rapture in God, that it wants kichleis hanefesh, it wants to expire in the divine source, that my soul is totally enraptured in God. This is the supernal gvurais that issues which is from there issues the root of the Levites here on earth, and the Levites here on earth, who now today the Levites are Levites, but in the time to come, in the world to come, they will become also Kohanim. But in any case, what is the duty of the Levites in the Holy Temple? Is to raise their voice in melody and thanksgiving to God through song and music. What is this idea of song and music? It is about the advance of the soul, that it wants to be bound up down here, moving upwards, not from up here down here, like water that comes down, the natural love that we have, like I'm the son of my Father in heaven, God is my whole life. That is the the right side of love that brings us to want to embrace God. But here, this is about an intense sense that the soul has, that it wants to advance with a fiery flames of like a coal that has fiery flame in it, that it wants to advance and become so absorbed in the divine that it wants to leave its confines and restrictions of human existence down here. This is the type of soul, this is the type of love that we're speaking about from the left side. And this comes through the contemplation about God's greatness, that when a soul will sense the goodness of God and wants now to leave that restriction. Now this, of course, can only come, we're in chapter 50, with many levels of divine service that come prior to this, which is the fear of sin, that we don't want to separate ourselves from God, that we are completely cleansed from that. Then when we have nothing that interposes between us and God, then we have the capacity to come to this higher form of love of God, which is again this advancement of the soul, that it just wants to be expired in its divine source. And that is Tanya in 5. Thank you for joining.
No, it's not impossible that Rebbe did say, just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never miss my daily Rambam. My Rebbe so desires, I'm not busy or too tired. When I learn Rambam connected, I remain, I am a link in the Rebbe's golden chain.
All right, Mitzvah Minute number 80. Can you believe that? Number 80. We are really trucking along over here. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Even after a Jewish marriage is terminated and all the laws pertaining to the divorce were followed and carried out specifically and exactly, this does not mean that there is no room for remarriage. The Torah recognizes that if the husband and wife both consent, they may come back together again and live as a married couple once again. There is, however, one case where this is no longer allowed, and that is negative mitzvah 356. Where a divorced woman goes ahead and gets married to another husband, if that marriage also ends for whatever reason, then the divorced woman may not go back to live together with her original first husband. That is a special negative mitzvah in the Torah, negative mitzvah 356.
Baruch Hashem, today is day number 80 of our daily study of Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs. In the 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, we're on chapter 7, 8, and 9 of Hilchos Gerushin. So we're still learning the laws of divorce. But we have a new mitzvah today, and that is negative commandment 356, the prohibition against remarrying one's ex-wife if she has been married to somebody else in the interim. So a husband and a wife get divorced, she marries somebody else, they may no longer remarry each other. Normally, remarriage is permissible after divorce. In this case, it would not be. And one of the reasons given for this is so that people do not take divorce lightly. If they could simply marry and divorce, and then marry somebody else and divorce, and then come back to the previous marriage, then marriage would be seen in a very cavalier way. So that is one of the explanations as to the rationale behind this mitzvah. And we will see you tomorrow for more mitzvahs related to Hilchos Gerushin, God willing.
Okay. And that takes us to matters of Mashiach.
והוא גואלנו, משיח צדקנו, הרבי מלובביץ' מלך המשיח, הרבי מלובביץ'.
All right, for the 21st day of Iyar, the mighty Leviathan cruises effortlessly, propelling through the water with a single flap of its fin. So too, a master of the inner teachings of Torah traverses the entire spiritual cosmos in a single thought. When a person views something in this world, he immediately traces it back to the godly source, sensing a deep significance of every letter in Torah and every detail of creation. The Leviathan will slaughter the Shor Habor with its fin. Like the thrust of the Leviathan, understanding divinity brings meaning to our actions and our mitzvahs. By seeing the godly source of the mitzvahs, we perform them with greater inspiration and understanding, which leads us to perfect observance as well. Mashiach requires that we must imbue everything we do with meaning and purpose, breathing new and godly life into everyday activity. Here's Shmuel Tzvi with more.
Shalom. When the Messiah comes, we're only going to realize then the full extent of how close we were right now and how many things were happening behind the scenes right now. But if you take this message to heart, you can try to maximize this awareness into action. Meaning, our leaders tell us that we are in the final generation. The Rebbe tells us that this is the final generation, that the Messiah will arrive in this generation. And we are now in the final moments of exile. And at any moment, the Mashiach, the Messiah, will arrive. So with that in mind, we should have a sense of urgency and emergency in our service of Hashem, to take our service of God to the next level, to rededicate ourselves to Hashem, to accept Hashem as King over us. Now is the time to turn ourselves to God, because once the Mashiach comes, we won't have the chance to say we brought Mashiach.
Mashiach's waiting at the door, so let us greet him and come back home, finally home in the place where we belong. It's been so long that we've been gone, so lost and alone.
I know what.
Scattered all across the globe, but now that we are back again, we beg you, please resume your throne. We're finally home.
All right. We're going to bring some heaven down to earth. All right. We've been talking about meaning. And what is this meaning that we are getting into? All will come through us, struggling here with the restrictions and challenges of our world, because Hashem desires. And what's the reason? There is no reason. If there were a reason, you would ask, what's the reason for this reason? But this is the desire where all begins, a desire that transcends reason, a desire that transcends all places from where reason is born, unbounded and all-consuming. Why? It's not a desire of human being. It's not a desire of one who has limited will or of any being or entity at all. It's a desire that lies at the very core of all being. And that core chose to desire. And now there's nothing else. That was a little cryptic, Mr. Rabbi Freeman. A little cryptic, but you know what? That's okay. You want to discuss it more? Come to me on social media, any of the Actors Rabbis groups. We'll get that up and running. There we go. At Blue Sky Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube, or theactorsrabbi.com. Go to that website and sign up, join our mailing list, and sign up for life coaching services should you need them. All right, let's make an after bracha.
Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam boirei nefashos rabos v'chesronan al kol ma sheborasa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai ha'olamim.
All right, you don't need to thank me for my time. It's my pleasure. That's why I'm here. All right? But I do appreciate it. Thank you for thanking me. Thank you for thanking me, for thanking you, for thanking me, and I don't even know where I'm going with that anymore. All right. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those who have sponsored me. Thank you to those of you who are considering sponsoring me. Thank you to those who've sponsored me in the past and have not considered re-sponsoring. Whatever it is, I love you and I appreciate you, and we're good, okay? All right, I just want you to know that. Should never feel embarrassed about not being able to continue a sponsorship. That's not what it's about. No one's trying to goad you into anything. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Now, if you do want to become a sponsor, here's the link. Scan the handy QR code, or go to breakfastwithelli.live/new-computer, breakfastwithelli.live/support, or patreon.com/ The Actors Rabbi, patreon.com/ The Actors Rabbi. Okay? All right. Well, what can I tell you? We've reached the end of another broadcast day. All right. We've got, in light of Yuval Raphael coming in second place in Eurovision, but getting first place in the popular votes, with more votes than ever happened before, I have a new vocal version of A New Day Will Come, featuring Sruli Broncher and Mendy Twersky, and it's in Yiddish. Oh, I know you're going to like this. It's really, really cool. Now, I have played it before, so you will recognize it, but I thought it would be special because, we can't play Kol Isha over here, so we've got Mendy Twersky and Sruli Broncher, brilliant musicians, bringing us A New Day Will Rise in Yiddish, a Naya Tug. All right. Thank you for being here. Go out and do something nice, something good for someone today, as we are 14 days away from Shavuos, exactly 2 weeks, Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, 2 weeks. All right. In the words of Rabbi Isaac Hamler, have affection for a fellow. Hashem will have affection for you. Do a kindness for a fellow. Hashem will do a kindness for you. Draw a fellow closer. Hashem will draw you close to him. Go out and make it a great and glorious day. Be the reason someone smiles. And remember, this is a Naya Tug. It's a new day. Love you all. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Afele oiv gesegen, festi keimel, avegein, regen beugen, oiven dort. Man kann lier, wenn's dit nicht sein, man einzig hofft, der Horizont sind schand und Batok, der einzig Lied, was mein Piano spielt in so. A viele Oib gesegen, wie die bist du, ist es wert. Mir auf Heiben, hoi ich gut, halt man Fies nu zu der Eid. Zieh nachher seist tief im Weg, Chaloimes schon gescheit. Ich will dir aus, a viele Tinkel, nur me seht. An ein Tug bescheid, Schargeit und Stein, amul auch die Wein nicht allein. Tinkel aus Web, beträrende Schreck, aber ins nicht mitschleppt, auf viele Oib die Geister weg. Auf viele Oib, ich seh die nicht, weiß ich hasse die bis nach du. Man beschäftigt hatte Knoi, halt mir nun in der Schuh, weil kein Geist die nicht weg, die bist doch als mit mir. Ich gehe du sie klappt schon auf mein Team. An ein Tag was Schargeit und Stein, amul auch die Wein nicht allein. Tinkel aus Web, beträrende Schreck, aber jetzt nicht mit Schlepp. A viele Oib die Geist, am ein Tag und Schargeit und Stein, amul auch die Wein nicht allein. Tinkel aus Web, beträrende Schreck, aber jetzt nicht mit Schlepp. A viele Oib die Geist, Ma'im Rabim lo yichavi, es ahavu in Euros, lo yishtafihu, am I tug of
Bring them home, bring them home. We've been praying for so long, so Abba, please bring them home. Bring them home, please bring them home. We've been praying for so long, so Abba, please bring them home. We're coming home, we're almost home.